Hey, Melissa, welcome to the show.
Hi, Desiree. Thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem. Like always, let's just dive right on into this. Tell us about your boring business.
All right. So I'm so boring that I help people protect their home front with life insurance. God forbid they pass away prematurely, which is very often a morbid topic.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I'm 33. And so the idea of like life insurance is really like, that's a future adult
Right.
Desiree problem. I'm never going to die kind of a
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly. You don't need it, right? Why would you buy something you don't need? And it's a very tough thing to get people to think about, because the problem is nobody knows when they're going to need it.
No, you don't. And it's always this like, oh, I wish I had it kind of a thing, I'm sure.
Mhm.
When someone, unfortunately, in your weakest, most vulnerable and sad moment, you're also being faced with this like
Financial
traumatic
burden.
financial burden. Yes,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
Absolutely. And like people don't like to think about things. I've realized that just even in my personal and professional life, like I'm pretty much a doer, but if I don't understand or like something, I will avoid it subconsciously.
Now, you're a military spouse too, right?
I am, yes, I'm a coastal
So
spouse.
So we deal with this in like a totally different way
Mm-hmm.
because our husbands deploy. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's always that day that they come home and hand you a stack of papers and they're like, if I die, here's
Right.
everything you need. And you're just like,
Like, please don't
oh
tell
my
me
God.
that.
Because it's not bad enough you're
Right.
leaving me for
Right.
six
Right.
months
Yeah.
alone.
You're
But
going this
now
weird
I
place,
have
kind of
things.
dangerous.
Yes.
And for me as a co-C spouse, that isn't a huge risk, but it's still a risk. It's still definitely there, depending on what you do in the Coast Guard. And so I do have a strong appreciation for the spouses of other branches because they face that on a really big level throughout their whole journey as a military spouse. So it could be, initially, right after boot camp, they married their spouse and they're going somewhere dangerous, or it could be a year or two, 5 years in. And so it's like a roller coaster. And so deployment and military life in general is definitely a trigger point to be looking into life insurance.
Yes, and but our husbands have it kind of like by default. They have like a built-in life insurance,
Mm-hmm.
but if
Right.
you're and we're actually in the process of separating from the Air
Right.
Force, and
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
one of the things that we've had to factor into our
Mm-hmm.
budget is one of those like, super adult things, which is life
Yep.
insurance,
Mm-hmm.
because
Gonna
there's this
transition. Yeah.
there's this whole like for those of you that know with military life, there's like two ways that you look at military pay. One is
Mm-hmm.
you get a paycheck and that's what you make, and that's usually
Mm-hmm.
not very much money when you look at it like on paper. But
Right.
when
You
you
get
look at it
benefits,
from like all of the benefits that you get, like
healthcare.
yeah, you're 100% medical coverage, and
Mm-hmm.
then also your housing
Housing.
allowance you're given, but
Yeah.
also life insurance. And
Mm-hmm.
your husband or our
Mm-hmm.
military spouses have full life insurance. It's
And they
basically
have more, and I wouldn't say full, I'm going to correct you, and that's okay.
no, it's
They
fine.
have a lot more than most people would at their employers.
Yeah. And then like we as spouses can be a part of theirs too for
Yeah.
an addition. So it's one of those things that,
Right.
when we're getting
Yeah.
out, we've had to factor into like, okay, how much money do you actually make?
Right.
So
And
I
how's
guess
it going to
it's
go
kind of,
with you in the real world?
yeah. And so I mean,
So,
I know guys that we're talking about like nitty gritty insurance, personal stuff,
yeah.
but yeah, so this is something that like we deal with on a regular basis. Melissa deals with this on a daily basis as it's her job, but and also this like Coast Guard life that she has, military spouse
Yeah.
life. So I'm curious, what is it that you do to market your business? Like, how are you able to get people to like take the blinders off and the earmuffs off and listen to their mortality?
Yeah, that's a great question, and probably something I've been thinking about for like the past 3 years as I'm going, out on my own. So I, have worked for other brokers for life insurance. I've worked in the industry, insurance as a whole, for like 15 years. And so this past 3 years has been a journey for me to go out completely on my own and be an independent life insurance brokerage. I'm the owner. I'm the only operating agent. So, and I'm also the person that's in charge of everything, like my social media. So I love that, your services are so valuable to one to two people businesses, it's like huge. So I've been tasked and or burdened with figuring out how to get customers in general, and then how to take a boring topic like insurance, anything, let alone life insurance, the product that's not required at all. Nobody's forcing you to buy it. In very rare situations that happens, to get people excited enough to put it on their to-do list and actually hang with the process, you know? So some of the things I've done is definitely, I would say, like, coming back to the name of my company, Insure the Heroes. Insure the Heroes is not just for military. So my primary target customer, I guess you would say, are, you know, military families. So not so much service members, definitely service members in some regard, but military spouses and veterans really need help with their life insurance. And so, yes, that's the military affiliation, but anybody who owns life insurance is a hero to their family because they took that time, you know, to put it into place. God forbid their family's ever going to need it. That is a huge thing their family will appreciate. God forbid they pass away, you know. So the name of my company coming to fruition, I try to do social media marketing that ties in that hero concept. Doing videos has been really fun and challenging. Making it very short and sweet and fun. If I could give you some little tip in a very upbeat way and put myself on camera, you know, I feel like that goes a lot further than calling you over and over and over again and email. That's how people sell life insurance. That's how they've done it. You know, there's lots of blogs or resources, and that's definitely something I'm doing, but a lot of other agents that I know are not quite doing video, and they may not, and they may never need to or want to or whatever. I just really want to lead in that aspect because, you know, when somebody can see you, it makes it a lot better. And I'm going to stop rambling here for a second and to just end with, you know, insurance used to be sold face to face. And that's been an industry problem and shake up for the past 10 years or so. You know, State Farm, nobody's going in the office anymore unless you're like in podunk town. It's all online, it's all over the phone. And so you really lose that human connection and where you can trust the person that you're talking to, where you can set aside the time to get the information that you need, because I don't care what Geico says, you can't really get it done in 15 minutes. You know, I don't know if that's okay for your podcast or you need to.
No, do it. You speak your truth here. You speak your truth.
But it's like, oh yeah, you get it all accomplished in 15 minutes. All right, see how far you get with that. What kind of quality insurance product are you going to get in 15 minutes? It's possible to move that process along. I worked for another large company and I was the top on their team in regards to sales and customer service, but my call time was always the highest, and I always got talked to about it. And my average call time was 13 minutes. Okay, I feel like it's a pretty good, that's a good number if you're required to talk to people about life insurance and then also handle all their billing issues. And, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things that I think video really helps break that barrier and makes it a little bit more fun.
So where is it that you're putting your videos? Like, how are people consuming this really time-consuming, really vulnerable process? Because I do it 3 times a week. Totally get it.
Yeah.
Where are you doing it? And like, how have you worked through the process to make it successful for you?
It's not quite successful yet, I would say. But that's probably because I'm a perfectionist. But I have made huge strides. I've realized that video is not easy for a lot of people. And so much so people aren't even starting yet. You know, learning the sound, learning the editing. I'm a one-person show. I don't feel like handing that editing off to somebody because I want to be in control of the messaging, you know. So maybe one day I'll offload that or whatever. But I have been putting videos on Facebook, short ones, and this month I'm actually doing it's Life Insurance Awareness Month for September. So you may have seen there's some interviews that I've done that are fairly long. But what I found interesting is I went ahead and took, you know, all those and put them on LinkedIn. I only did a few so far. But the one I put on LinkedIn, like there was a retired Army guy that messaged me like right afterwards. It was like, that was really informative. Thank you. You know, I'm transferring after 25 years. I was like, wow, like it's a 30-minute video. I don't know if he watched it all, but it was enough for him to stop and message you. And I know LinkedIn is a better platform for that, but to me in general, social media is so fast. So I felt like that was a good win.
Awesome. Yeah. And you know, it's
Facebook, I would say.
it's what, one win at a time, right? Like how you build that spider
Yeah,
web
and
out
I'm
there.
trying to go to YouTube, like it's gonna get there.
I and like on like the record, like for how I've been doing my videos. So at the time of this recording, I've been doing video marketing for 13 months.
Oh,
And
nice. And
and
you're
so
rocking it. You're so
I
rocking
do 3 videos a week. I
it.
also upload my podcast. I
Mm-hmm.
just have the podcast and it is slow.
It
And the
is.
thing that's so hard with people with
It's
marketing,
so valuable.
especially us boring business owners, because I do feel
Yeah.
like social media is a boring business too, because
It's
it's
a middle life.
it's
Yeah.
oversaturated. It's all oversaturated.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of
Right.
people who talk
Right.
about it.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
and so it's hard to know who to listen to and who to trust with so many people doing it. It's
Yeah.
hard to stand out.
And a lot of businesses don't really want to deal with it, or they're nowhere near the level of information that we know. So you start talking to them and they're like their eyes are like, what? Like, I got work to do.
Yeah. So it's like a very slow, long process. But because of how I am doing my videos, you know, my views and my subscribers on my channel has been like going up a lot more lately.
Yeah.
I've been getting really great search engine optimization traction from it because I take my videos from YouTube and I turn them into a blog and they're on my website.
Exactly.
And so
they stay on your website longer.
yes,
That's another thing.
and that SEO factor that helps is really helpful. So like that's how I am seeing the return on investment back on myself because of that time. So if you are going to go into video, guys, just know that it is 100% not a sprint. We all have those like dreams of being the like, what is it? The sexy dentist who did my feelings video.
Yeah, I don't know, but
you know, that guy really lucked out and like he's got a really popular thing. He's gone like on Steve Harvey and stuff. And the majority of us will not have that kind of viral success.
Yeah.
So just know that video is
attraction, you know, and I think like for me, my industry is sales. Yes, I'm helping people, but at the end of the day, I get paid nothing for all my efforts until I actually sell a policy. And I don't actually get that commission for sometimes 3 to 6 months. People think like I only sell terms. So I'm like, you know, not trying to make it big here. But it's a long process. So, you know, in sales, anything sales, you need to think about your conversion, even what you do, you know what I mean? From the time that you're getting a potential lead, you know, is that converting and whatever? And like video can totally take that higher, you know? So even though you may not be reaching a lot of people, you can potentially capture more of the people that you're reaching. And that's huge.
Yeah. So video, guys, I talk about all the time. Everywhere I go, do it.
Yes.
Stop being afraid of your face because it's a great face. It's the only face you've
got. It's beautiful.
Yes.
You know, you're going to sound stupid and you're going to mess up. It doesn't matter. People like that.
Yeah.
You know, people would prefer it.
So when it comes to your marketing, like what have you done just flat out horribly wrong for your business?
Oh my God. I would say that I overthought a lot of it. Not necessarily total like really bad, but you know, the analysis paralysis, you start getting in tune with some of this marketing stuff online and you analyze the crap out of it, you know. And so I actually would for the longest time not execute things because I was over analyzing it, and then I was surprised by the level of fear that came up with that. So I was like, what's really going on, Melissa? Like, why aren't you really putting this out there? So it was a big learning lesson. And then also making goals that weren't really realistic. So I would be like writing out calendars like left and right. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? And then you're feeling defeated in a way. And it is good to shoot for higher, you know, you'll ultimately accomplish more, but don't do it to a point where you're not going to feel good about yourself. You know what I mean? You're like putting this pressure on yourself that isn't really necessary. You can do things very slowly. And so just kind of, I would give anybody advice to kind of look at, you know, what are you going to decide on that you're going to implement? What are the tools that you need? Put it on your calendar. You know, make sure that calendar is a little bit flexible for if you get a little behind or whatever, maybe you can add some more one day, but make it realistic. Don't try to fill it all at once and think that you're going to actually get a ton of things done. You know what I mean? Because you will feel defeated.
Yes. So what is like the best thing that's like ever happened with your online marketing or just your marketing efforts in general?
I would say the best thing is the immense amount of progress that I've made. Even though it's been slow, it's huge. Like the tools and the stuff that I know now. My husband tells me all the time. Like he was probably a skeptic earlier, but I would keep involved with him. Hey, is this even worth like my time and effort and any cash that we're putting into this and all that jazz? Like I want his opinion. He's very much a skeptic. He is not a social person, like online or in person. So like for him to grow with me in that process and tell me I do not want you to quit this. This is going in the right direction. It's really huge. So I would think that would be a big win. So yeah, just learning all of this stuff. This is really great information that I can take with me as a military spouse, as a moving military spouse, to basically accomplish anything I wanted. That's how I feel. Like it's been so difficult to learn all of this. Even though I'm 34, I'm a millennial, I understand tech stuff, I understand social tools, but there's just so much of it. Sometimes I'm like, why do I have to do this? Like, why can't I just sell life insurance, But it's I have so many tools now to do other things if I ever wanted to.
Do you think that like you've run into like there's just so much I don't know what to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like do you feel like it's like there's so many platforms, there's so many things that everyone, all these online
almost
experts
every couple of months or weeks.
There's so much everyone wants you to do all the time.
And you get conflicting information. And what I realized is that there is no one way. And then I started hearing some other people say that too in some podcasts and whatever. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So then you just have to decide. But it's like being new to it. Like I came into it 2015. I know that was going to be one of your questions. And it's like, you start getting all this information and you're like, well, which one should I do? Which one's actually going to work? Like if people knew that, they would, they wouldn't need to have all this information out there.
Again, I run into the exact same thing. I am a social media marketer and I was like, where can I spend my time?
Right.
And like, I just had to really, you just have to really sit and think. It's like, where is your avatar spending their time?
Right.
And I had to think like the people that I work with, you guys, you boring businesses, where do my boring businesses spend their time? Well, a lot of times they're working in their business versus working on their business.
Right.
They're Googling a lot. They're trying to figure out answers to things.
Right.
And so I was like, I finally and then I read this really great book called Vlog Like a Boss.
Yeah.
This was like the right time. I was like, okay, I know it's hard. I know it's time consuming and I know it's pricey because and especially because I pay my editor to make my videos
and ultimately you always have a cost to your tools.
And so I had to be like, I'm going to do YouTube. Like that's where I do my stuff. So people will be like, my stuff goes to Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. Like where I spend my time and where I put my focus and attention is in YouTube.
Right.
Like that is what works for my business. And that's what you have to ask yourself. What will work for my avatar? For my business. And I think that's what you ultimately have to pick.
Yeah. And I have some life. I started in the online world in 2015, leaving Gerber Life Insurance, and we were transferring through to Key West. And I was like, oh, I found this thing called a blog. Like I didn't know what a blog was until 2015. That's crazy, right? So I was like, ooh. And then I realized like they were doing life insurance blogs really successful and had been for a while. Ended up getting like a B school scholarship. I don't know if you know what that is. Marie Forleo, like I ended up getting that in our contest for 2016, and that was huge. And being a part of Kayla Roof's Academy, like all that stuff just helps you, really get it all together. But at the end of the day, you have to choose. And I know the whole point with that was these life insurance agents are like, what are you doing with video, Melissa? You know what I mean? I'm like, it's cool. I don't know. It's my journey. I got to figure it out. Like maybe it will plateau and never work. I personally don't believe that for my niche. And I've gotten referrals and I'm writing policies. It's still slow, but the biggest win to tie that, into one of your other questions that you were asking me is I've been able to help my niche along with other, regular consumers, but definitely my military niche with some amazing life insurance solutions. Like they had problems and I fixed them and I got them coverage. And that at the end of the day is always going to be my biggest win. That's what makes me go, oh my God, okay, all of this crap that I have to learn and do with social media, like, and you know, the business compliance and like all of it is really a lot. But then when that comes about, it's like, I helped that family. You know what I mean? And they thought they weren't going to be eligible and they hit a roadblock, or they were just super confused and like how to fit it in their budget, you know, and it's just it's so rewarding.
That's so great. Well, I think that's a good way for us to wrap up. I've always in my podcast with this question, and I want to know, what is your favorite quote that our listeners can use to inspire them to go out and make marketing greatness?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to piggyback and use, obviously it's not my quote, but it's Marie Forleo. I don't know if any of you guys know her, but everything is figure outable. That's something like her, you should Google that. Or maybe you should do a blog post on it or a video yourself. I don't know. But her mom, you know, would say that to her. And so it's definitely something that helped her go through a lot of things in her business. I will say that, I believe that, and I really feel like Google's there, all the tools are there. Plus, you have to be wise in a sense to know, even though you could figure it out on your own, if you're in a place, you know, whether it's financially or I guess I would say more like emotionally, like if you can delegate and you can hire a social media marketer or an assistant or whatever it is, it's a plug for you, Desiree. But really, I mean, anything, it doesn't even have to be social media marketing. You could figure it all out on your own, and maybe you do that for a little bit. But if you can find a way to have some people in your corner, it's definitely a good idea.
Yes.
So funny.
Definitely. Yes, definitely, guys. If you need to hire that out, because you'll get stuck in that loop of working in your business versus working on your business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the biggest advocate for this. The moment I let go of doing work, my business has done nothing but gone up. So
and I'm
getting everything. I love that quote.
But it's, you know, you realize you hit that point where you're like, I can grow. I'm ready to grow. I'm sitting on my computer, but so yeah.
Yes, and I love your quote about how everything is fixable. I always say to my kids, work the problem. So I feel like that. It's a good one to end up. Okay, how can people find you, Melissa?
Well, you can go to insuretheheroes.com. So that is my website where you've got a lot of valuable, easy to file life insurance information. I am also primarily on Facebook. You can check out my Pinterest and YouTube, but they're not quite in the works. But you should still follow them anyway. But yeah, primarily I'd say my website, insuretheheroes.com.
Awesome. And we'll make sure to include the link to that in our show notes. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today, Melissa. I really appreciate it. And like we always say in military life, it is never goodbye. It is see you soon. So until next time, guys. Probably will. Until next time, guys, I will see you soon.
Thank you. You have a good day.
You too.